Hi guys, today I want to talk about text and social media etiquette. Okay, now this isn't going to apply to everybody. There are going to be some people that have extremely high self-esteem and they're never going to think it's a problem, or they're so busy they don't notice. But for probably more often than not, ignoring texts, not replying, and not acknowledging that you got a text, even if it's not a question, it's just a statement. If you don't acknowledge that you got the text somehow, maybe with just an emoji or something like that, it can be seen as quite rude. So, for instance, let's say she sends a text saying, "Oh, I saw that thing you were talking about the other day at such and such a shop." Okay, there's not a question. And some people feel like they don't have to respond to that. But if you don't just send back, oh, cool, or ha ha, or gee, that's funny, or even an emoji, she's going to feel completely ignored. And this is when the cogs start turning in people's brains and they start going, oh shit, have I done something wrong? Why are they not speaking to me? So even when you're in a relationship, people don't like to be ignored. So why is it so hard if you've read the text, if you've opened your phone and read the text and you've got the keyboard right in front of you ready to reply to a text? Why do you not just send something back, some sort of an acknowledgement that you received that text? It's really quite rude not to. So there's one mistake you might be making. Another one is not getting back to them in an appropriate amount of time. If she asks you a question, or he asks you, do you want to go out this Friday night, or whatever the case may be, and you take 3 hours to reply, like if you're at work, then, great, but like don't use the excuse of waiting until like 5:30 or 6 o'clock that night and responding and saying I was at work, because everybody gets breaks. And if you can sneak your phone into your pocket when you go to the toilet, you can reply on the toilet. You can reply on your morning tea break, your afternoon tea break, or your lunch break, or as soon as you get out of work and you're walking to the train station or whatever. There's really no excuse to wait till 6 o'clock at night to respond to a question. Now, if you're waiting 3 hours just because you're busy doing something or out with mates or whatever, again, there's generally a moment in there somewhere where you can shoot a text back. I mean, most people check their phones when they're with their mates and stuff anyway. So if you're checking your phone for other things, but then you can't respond to her, that's not going to cut it. It's not an excuse. Now, if you're doing something like jet skiing or whatever, water skiing or something, of course you can't respond. But when you get around to responding, explain that. Don't just answer the question, and don't say why it took you hours and hours to get back to her or him, because it's going to look like they are so low down on your priority list that it's not funny. So always be as prompt as you can be, and always acknowledge texts. And if you wait until the next day to reply, or 3 days later, she's going to think he's going to think you're trying to blow them off, and they might stop talking to you, and then you're going, what the hell? What did I do? All right, so moving on. If you're Facebook friends or something like that, and they send you a private message there, and you don't check it, but they can see that you've done things on Facebook, like you've put up a status or commented on someone else's or whatever, and it comes through on their newsfeed, and they can see that. But you still haven't checked their message, that's not going to look good. It's going to look like you're not a priority, or you're trying to blow them off. Again, this is a really, really, really bad thing to do in the beginning of a relationship, or when you're dating or whatever. And leaving it too long is even bad when you're actually in a relationship. And the other thing is, don't check their message, their private message, and then not reply because they can see that you've seen the message and you haven't bothered to reply. Again, their cogs in their brain are going to start turning and they're going to start getting anxious. Oh my God, what's going on? He's not replying or she's not replying. He or she doesn't like me anymore. You don't want to create anxiety because when somebody really cares about something like that, they can get a little bit paranoid. It doesn't mean that they're paranoid in other areas or whatever, but people want to guard their heart. They've probably been hurt before, and they really, if it's someone who has been hurt before, they might just want to get out before they get hurt. If they see any sort of sign or get a whiff of you pulling back, backing off, or trying to get rid of them, or showing that they're not a priority, they might just ditch you because they're trying to protect their heart. So again, be prompt, reply, acknowledge. There's no need to check the message and then not reply. If something comes up like someone knocks on the door and you can't respond right then and there like you were just about to, and you've checked the message, then when you can get back to it again, explain why. Just say, sorry, I was going to reply to this an hour ago, but then someone knocked on the door and blah, blah, blah. I know you don't have to go overboard with that, but just an explanation so they can go, oh, phew, that's all it was, you know. You don't want to scare somebody off by having them think that you're not that keen, and then their defences come up because they've been so hurt before. Now, some people have been incredibly hurt, and you might not understand it because you've never been that hurt. But speaking from experience, those of us who have been hurt beyond belief, it might be just so much easier to just pull the plug on everything as soon as they get a whiff of something going wrong. The next thing is when you're actually having a conversation back and forth, don't just abruptly end the conversation and you're gone, never to continue with that conversation again. You need to have like a proper end to a conversation. Now, I was talking to a guy who seemed to be showing a little interest that was from my past, and we found each other again on Facebook years later. And way back in the past, I had a crush on him. God knows if he had a crush on me, who knows. But we were talking back and forth, and he was showing a little bit of interest or whatever at some stage. And then we were just having this normal conversation, and then all of a sudden he was gone. And I thought, oh, maybe he's, had an interruption, like someone knocked on the door or whatever, fully expecting him to come back later and say, oh, sorry, I just, this such and such happened and I had to take off. And if you know you've got to take off, there's no reason you can't say, BRB or BBS or something, be right back or be back soon, or just even put, phone like someone's calling or, but if you don't have time, then fair enough. When you come back later, say what happened. But he didn't. He didn't come back later and say what happened, and days went on and on and on. And, conversation was in the middle of the conversation and then he was just gone. To me, that was incredibly, incredibly rude. And guess what? I lost all interest in him because he did that. All right, the next thing is if you're invited to an event. Now, this doesn't just cover your date or your girlfriend or boyfriend. This also goes for friends. If somebody creates an event in Facebook, even if it's not in Facebook, but we use Facebook as an example, and you get the notification, don't ignore it. If you go and look at the event and you don't click interested or going or not going, it just sits there and it's going to come across them and you're completely ignoring it. It's so rude. Like, how hard is it to click that you might attend, or that you have plans to attend, or that you can't make it? It's not that hard. I don't understand why people do this, and it's so incredibly rude to just ignore the event. It's never to be spoken of again. And sometimes there are people that the event goes ahead and they still haven't clicked their RSVP. I find that really, really the height of rudeness. And if people continually do things like that to me on Facebook, then So sometimes I end up cutting them because I just think, well, what sort of A, respect does that show to me? And B, what sort of priority am I to them? It is really, really not too hard to just click a button. So do not ignore events. And the next thing is if she posts or he posts a lot of things on their Facebook profile, don't ignore everything. For goodness sake, like some things here and there, have a little comment here and there. Of course, keeping it completely polite. If you haven't got something nice to say, don't say it at all. There's nothing worse than someone debates and argues with you in front of all their friends on a post. If there's something you really want to talk about that you disagree with, then go private. Because it's really rude and embarrassing to sort of call someone out or have a go at them or tell them they're wrong or debate them or whatever in front of all their friends and stuff. That's quite embarrassing, and you probably won't last long if you do that with some people. So yeah, don't completely just ignore everything they put up. They want to know that you're actually interested in some of the things they say and like and talk about, and they might share links and things they find interesting. And if you ignore everything, you're not going to look very compatible for starters. And they're probably just going to think you're not even following them. And if you're not following them, then why would they want to date you? Because you've got no interest in anything they do or say. So have some interaction and show some interest. Now, I don't mean you have to like every bloody thing that comes up, because I know somebody who likes everything I put up, and it comes across as, I know they're a nice person and they're trying to make the person feel included or whatever. They're trying to be a good friend. But if you like absolutely everything, it comes across as a little fake, because you don't know what they are actually liking and what they're actually not liking. So like the things, click like on the things that you do like, and comment now and again. It doesn't have to be that often if you don't want to, but definitely do like some things and have some interaction. The other thing too is if you never ever comment or speak to the person on Facebook or whatever, they might start assuming that you've got other people on the side that are sort of you're dating at the same time or getting to know too, and you're not talking to that person because you don't want your other dates or whatever to see. So there's another thing that can get the cogs turning, and that she might start getting a little bit paranoid about, or he. So if you aren't dating others and all the rest of it, then show that this person is interesting and important to you. And then when you do start becoming more official, then let others know. Nobody wants you to never put pictures up of the two of you, or never click in a relationship with such and such once you're in a relationship, because again, it's going to look like you're trying to hide them away because there's somebody else on the scene, and it's really, really dodgy. People want to be with people that are proud to be with them and want to basically shout it from the rooftops. They're so happy that they're with that person. They want everybody else to know. You don't have to go overboard with this by any stretch of the imagination. But if you do nothing, if you never put photos up with your partner, if you don't have sometimes a profile picture with the two of you, if you never speak about your partner on your profile, if you never update your relationship status to say you're in a relationship with them, if you never say things like, especially in the beginning, like you click on their profile on Valentine's Day and wish them a happy Valentine's Day or something for others to see, or say sweet things about them on your profile. Again, you don't have to go overboard with it if you don't want to. But now and again, the odd thing, check in with them somewhere, so people can sort of see that that this person is important to you, and this is a person that's a big part of your life, and that you love them, and that you're proud of them, and you don't want to keep them hidden away. Now, this might not be your motivation behind anything. You might just be a very private person. You might hardly post yourself, so why are you going to start posting about someone else? But it's just the way it looks and it comes across, and it can start making people concerned. And look, if you're not with someone that you're proud to be with and that you are happy to have everybody know about, then why are you with them? So do something, interact, check in with them, maybe put some photos, say something about them on your profile. It doesn't have to be every day. But now and again, they just want to feel special. They want to feel that you're proud of them, proud to be with them, and that you're sort of showing them off a bit. This is sort of more important in the beginning than later. Things sort of will happen later naturally, but in the beginning, you show them off a little bit and interact. Now, everyone's going to be different, and everybody's going to enjoy a different level of how much you post about them and all the rest of it. So see if you can pick up on clues. If they're posting things about you or putting photos with you, or they've clicked on the thing requesting that you say yes to the whole inner relationship with you, then there's your clues, there's your hint about how often and how much they want to do it. So, even if you do it half as much, that's something. But if you do nothing, like I said, it's going to come across terribly. And one last thing I'll say on this topic is if she or he posts links on their profile about important issues or things like that they are really passionate about or whatever, show a little bit of interest here and there. Because if, let's say, for example, your date or your partner is big into animal welfare or something like that, and you never show any interest whatsoever, yet they keep posting links and things like that, trying to get sort of people interested in caring about animals or whatever. If you never show any interest, it's going to look a bit slack on your part. It's going to look like you don't really care about anything. And it's going to make her or him think that perhaps you really don't have a lot in common. Now, I don't mean you have to be fake and feign interest in all this sort of stuff, but for goodness sake, check out what they're saying. See if you can learn a little something. If it's not for you after that, then it's not for you. But at least show a little interest in them and their beliefs and what they're passionate about and stuff. All right, that's getting quite long, so I might leave it there. And from Aussie Land, farewell.